Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a Rocket Lab stock analysis. Now, if you don't know what Rocket Lab does, it is an aerospace company and their main focus is selling satellite parts and launching rockets into space. Now, as you can see on the graph here, it hasn't been that fun to own the stock ever since the start of this year, and we were almost at $100 and currently we're sitting at 67.73. Now, something that I want to highlight that is quite positive about this stock, however, is the fact that even though there has been a war in Iran and oil price has been absolutely rampant, we haven't seen that much volatility in the stock compared to earlier. Earlier, we see these huge spikes up and down in the stock price, but ever since March till now, of course, it goes up and down, but not as much as you would expect a company that has a beta of 2.14 to do, and especially not a speculative stock like a aerospace company. Now, we did see a crash recently all the way down here to, or not a crash per se, we did see a bit of a bear pull on the stock all the way down to 56, and now again we're up to 67. Now, I have to say I do own quite a large amount of Rocket Lab shares, so I'm definitely gonna be biased. Now, you're gonna notice is it has been quite volatile recently in the RSI as well. So actually, I see some huge spikes here in the overbought areas. Now, if you don't know what the RSI is, that is the relative strength index. So this shows you the momentum of a stock. So if it's between 50 and 70, it's just going upwards like normal. Let's just take here, for example, it's going upwards here. But because it rises so rapidly, we even get into above 70, which is overbought. And when it's overbought, it becomes much more volatile. So always be a bit careful when buying stocks that have an RSI above 70. Personally, I never buy stocks up here. Now, when it's between 50 and 30, down here it's in the lower bracket. That means the stock price is just falling. But when it's below 30, it means it's falling rapidly. This doesn't mean it can't fall even further, but this just means be a bit more careful. Now, I often buy shares when they're down here because if I do believe this stock price should be worth more, when it's down here, it sometimes can be quite a great choice to buy that. We can also see that in a pit like here, it's being oversold again. But always be careful when it's overbought or oversold. Now, if we take a broader look at this stock, let's just make each candle a day instead. We can see it's a relatively new stock. It was first publicly launched in 2020 and has been quite good business if you bought them before 2024, and even it has been if you bought, to be honest, before this point. So even we have quite few people sitting at a loss in this stock itself. So I have to say I do like this quite a lot, and do think the fact that SpaceX is getting an IPO later this year means companies in aerospace like Rocket Lab, Redwire, or Firefly is going to get huge exposure, and I do think they're going to skyrocket, so to speak. Now, if we go down and look at their income, we can see they're rising year over year, which is absolutely great to see. Their margin is still negative, but then again, it is to be expected in an aerospace company at this point. Now, if we take a look at the overview, we can see they have 2,600 employees, and I like this quite a lot compared to some of their competitors. Here, I'm always going to take Firefly as their main competitor and not SpaceX because they're more similar in size. Now, Firefly is about a fifth the size, but they have over half of the employees. Now, something I also like quite a lot is the debt. They have virtually no debt compared to cash, and we absolutely love this. Now, something else I like quite a lot is the amount of closely held shares to free float shares. They have virtually no closely held shares at all. This is quite great because this means the chance of me getting diluted as a stockholder is much, much lower. Now, the valuation ratio, they have no price to earnings because they're not profitable yet, but the price to sales is 62.33, which is, to be honest, fine at this point. Now, if we look at revenue, we can see they have space systems and launch services. Space systems is stuff like solar panels, wheels, gauges, and stuff like that for the satellites itself. They might build satellites for some of their customers, but they don't launch that many satellites of their own. Now, let's take a look at some of their launch services. So currently they only have the Electron, and that is a relatively small rocket, as we can see here. The height is 18 meters and it has a payload of 300 kilograms. That's not that impressive and it's not that reusable. They can reuse some of the parts but not everything. What we're going to be quite excited for is Neutron itself. That is going to come out later this year or early next year. As you can see, it is much, much bigger and it has some legs like this that reminded of the Falcon 9 from SpaceX. And the payload is 13,000 kilograms compared to the 300. Something else is this Hippomouth up here, which I'm going to show you right here. This is much less complicated than SpaceX, meaning you can just close this and then it can return to home safe, and you can use it much, much sooner than SpaceX, which shoot off the Hippomouths, so to speak. Now let's get back to the stock. Something else I like quite a lot is the fact that they're not only in the United States, like some of their competitors like Firefly. Now they're also in Japan, Canada, and rest of the world. And recently they just bought a German company, meaning they can now also shoot rockets out of Europe, which is going to be a huge competitive advantage compared to their main rival. And here again, I'm going to think it is Firefly. Now, of course, SpaceX is also a huge competitor, but SpaceX is just so much bigger than Rocket Lab, and Firefly has a rocket of the same size, and they're building one of the same size. So to be honest, that is the most fair comparison I can make. Now, if we look at the seasonals of this stock, we can see that from 2020 to now, it has been relatively good business to own it. We have two negative years. We have 2022, which was quite rough, but then again, 2022 was quite a poor year. Then we have this year as well, down by almost 11%. But besides from that, it has been great to own the stock, and I do think we're going to be positive this year. But as I said, I do own some shares in this, so I'm going to be a bit biased. Now, technicals, we're going to go into that. And if you don't know what technicals is, this is should you buy or should you sell given the current price action on nothing else. So, only for that, if we're looking at the day technicals, it's a hold. If it's a week, it's a buy, and if it's a monthly, it is also a buy. This simply says, all right, if the stock price is moving upwards in a momentum, should you buy or should you sell? And if it's moving downwards, should you buy or should you sell? Now, even though it actually has been moving sideways for quite a while, I'm a bit surprised it says buy in the technicals because we can also see this flash crash right here. So chances are it's also because we did see a quite positive day at 3%, and the day before that, I believe it was about 8% or so. That might be one of the reasons, but I did buy recently, so of course I'm happy about it. Now, if we look at analyst rating on it, they're amazing. We have 12 strong buy, 2 buy, and 5 hold. And the average price within a year is 90. I wouldn't be surprised if it was much higher. It's not because I think it's actually worth that much more, but I think we're going to see a tendency to go into aerospace stocks because of the SpaceX launch, not launch, IPO launch, so to speak. So I do think it's going to be worth quite a lot more. So I do think I might actually sell when it gets a bit higher than this, because I think it's going to be overvalued at some point if the aerospace sector is going to blow up like I think it's going to do after SpaceX IPO. Now, I do think it's worth about 90 to maybe 100 within 1 year, but I do think it's going to be sitting at a cool 200 within the year. Now, that might be me speculating way too much, but I think it's going to be worth quite a lot simply given that it's going to be a hype just like the AI hype. Now, annually, if we look at their EPS, we're going to see them being profitable next year, hopefully. This year as well, they're just reducing it from half of what it was in 2025, which is great to see. So they're having a quite positive EPS estimates all the way into 2029, as well as a revenue, as you can see, guiding more and more and more in revenue, which is of course also amazing to see. So my price target within the year that is quite realistic within this year is 90 to 120 bucks isn't raised at all. That's realistic. If the speculative in me is right and it goes the way I think, I wouldn't be surprised if it hit 200 bucks, and that's absolutely crazy. I know that, but we have seen super cycles in AI just absolutely go crazy, and I do think people think that space will have AI data centers in space. That is not gonna happen, but I'm gonna make another video around that later. If you did like this video, however, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And of course, remember, this wasn't financial advice. This is purely for entertainment and educational purposes. But if you want to see more videos like this, please leave the companies you want to analyze in the comment section below.